Hey there friends, welcome back to another Legally Armed America video. I'm of course Paul Glasgow here, the one and only truth pimp, dealing you a vulgar display of logic and reason on a daily basis. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. You know, I've noticed a lot of people who drink Diet Coke are fat. They're overweight. So does Diet Coke make people fat, or do fat people drink Diet Coke? And if we're going to stick with pleasantly plump people, do people get diabetes because they're fat and have a bad eating habit? Or are they fat because they're diabetic? I know that sounds stupid. It does to me too. Let me explain something to you, and then maybe this will make more sense to you. Today I'm going to be talking about the absolute clown show that is in modern education in California, specifically the Temecula Valley Unified School District. Picture this, little Susie heads to school, excited for recess or whatever kids do these days, but oh no, she doesn't want to drop her drawers next to Timmy, who's now calling himself Tina, in the stall right next to her. According to Temecula's genius policy, Susie can't just say, hey, this feels kind of weird and invasive. Nope. Now she has to fill out a form claiming that she has a mental health condition like anxiety or some other fabricated disorder. Not the biological boy in the stall next to her with his dong in his hand taking a leak as he lifts his skirt up. No, not him. Not the one pretending that he's something that he's not. No, the girl in the proper restroom is going to be expected to fill out a form stating that she actually has anxiety or some other mental disorder because she can't cope with some mental patient in the stall next to her pretending that he's something else, and she doesn't want to play along. If she doesn't want to play along, she must be the crazy one, right? I mean, nothing says empowering young women like gaslighting them into thinking that their natural instincts for privacy or simply some crazy psychiatric issue that they need to deal with. That's progressive, right? It's like telling a kid afraid of the dark that they're crazy and then handing the monster in the closet a flashlight. But that's exactly what's happening here in this Temecula County School District. This is the form that they're expected to fill out. And again, this is not a joke. I say it in jest, but this is the truth, guys. This is a form that parents are expected to fill out if their biological girl, their actual daughter, born without Franks and Beans, if she doesn't want to have some guy with junk in his drawers flopping around in front of her in the women's bathroom, she's expected to declare herself a mental health patient by filling out this mental health accommodation request form. By filling out this form saying that basically she's crazy and she's the one that has the problem because she can't handle the nutbag in the stall next to her flopping around trying to use the women's bathroom as he's a man, she's expected to fill this out and assume the guilt of being the person who has the problem, not the person who has the problem, and then she will get to use a private restroom because she has a mental disorder and she is the problem, so we're going to accommodate her. So everybody's going to be happy. The guy with the Franks and Beans gets to use the girls' bathroom, and all the little girls who feel uncomfortable seeing that or letting him see them with her or their pants down, yeah, now they all get shoved into a closet because they're the ones with the problem, so that we don't have to offend the guy with the Franks and Beans prancing around in the girls' bathroom. Franks and Beans! Again, are you fat because you have bad eating habits, or do you have bad eating habits because you're fat? This is stupid. This inverted logic comes straight from California's state mandates, which force schools to let transgender students, these are ones pretending to be another identity, let them use facilities matching their, quote, gender identity. In other words, whatever they pretend to be, the state mandates that they get to use that restroom. So the gender pretenders get their way and the normal people don't. If anyone objects, out with the objectors. Meanwhile, the real elephant in the room, or should I say the real mental health crisis in the room, is staring us dead in the face. Let's talk some facts, because unlike the woke brigade, I believe in actual data. First off, gender dysphoria is absolutely and clinically and literally classified as a mental disorder in the DSM-5 book. I've said this countless times. The Bible of psychiatry. It's described as the distress from a mismatch between one's sex and perceived gender. Perceived alone. When you see the word perceived, that by itself describes a mental disorder, because you're perceiving something that's not. So when you perceive that you're anything other than what you are, screw loose. Now, I'm sure there are different levels of it, right? I'm sure not everybody has to be sized for a straitjacket. But when you perceive something that's not true, that's your problem, not everybody else who doesn't want to play along with your game. This is linked to sky-high rates of other mental woes as well. Studies show transgender individuals are 6 times more likely to have mood or anxiety disorders than the general population. Up to 69% of trans youth report depressive symptoms, compared to just 5 to 6% in the overall population. Now that makes perfect sense to me, right? To me it does. 69% of your gender pretenders have issues regarding depression, compared to what, 5 to 6%. So 69% for gender pretenders, 5 to 6% for normal people. And yes, I'm using that term accurately, normal people. That's a big difference. They have a 60-something% difference in depression. Well, I guess so. Something's wrong with them. They literally have a mental disorder. I'd be sad too. And don't get me started on their suicide rates. Transgender people face a suicide attempt rate that is 7.7 times higher than the rest of all the normal population, right? According to a massive Danish study of over 6.6 million people. In the US, more than 40% of transgender adults have attempted suicide at some point. Now that's adults. In a lot of the cases, these numbers are not collected for adolescents. So I can imagine how high that is, because you've got these young people, young, not adults yet, who are already dealing with everything from puberty to these dumps of hormones in their body. And then they get talked into pretending stuff when they actually may have a screw loose, but you're celebrating their mental disorder, so they're like, oh, let me just go along with it. Can you imagine what that rate is? If 40% of trans adults have attempted suicide, imagine what that rate is for adolescents. I mean, think about this. That's not 40% of transgender adults who have thought about suicide. That's 40% who have attempted. There's a big gap when you look at any kind of psychiatry or whatever. But the gap between people who have thought about suicide and people who have attempted suicide, that's a huge bridge right there. So when they cross that bridge and they're attempting it, that's massive to have a number like 40% sitting out there. Shouldn't I get a free t-shirt or something? Because it sure seems odd that I believe the only one, including all the wackos in the far left that expect you to believe all this pretend nonsense. I'm the only one calling for these people to get help. Everybody else is high-fiving them and celebrating their mental disorder. I'm the one over here going, guys, that's your people. Get them help. They're offing themselves at record rates. Maybe don't celebrate the problem and attempt to try to find them what? Help. Get them help. Why is it me being the advocate for help for these people? Want some more stats? And this is one here where we got chemicals involved. Transgender folks are 3 times as likely to be prescribed antidepressants. And they're nearly 4 times more likely to have substance abuse use disorder than normal people. So we have people who have a mental disorder, right? They already have something wrong with them. Now we give them a pill that has an FDA black box warning that does what? Increases their levels of anxiety. They're already anxious. They're already depressive. Now we give them a pill that increases that anxiety. They're already suicidal, obviously, at that 40% attempt rate. Now we give them an FDA drug with a black box warning that increases those chances of suicidal ideation and homicide and rates of aggression. So we make it worse. We got a patient already struggling with these things, but let's give them a pill and make it worse. And all this for less than 0.005 1% of the population. That's right, not even 1%, not even a little less than 1%.
Take some beans!
Like, minuscule. We're making policy for such a small group of people in this country that have a mental disorder. And it's going to affect everybody else who doesn't have a mental disorder. And now with this policy here, we're going to expect people who are perfectly normal and don't want to cave to your little game for your 0.005% of people who are experiencing this confusion of what gender they are.
Take some beans!
And now you want to blackball the normal people by making them fill out an official form that's going to go in their records. So guess what now? Is this going to become the norm in California where people, even if you're adults and you work amongst people like this and you don't want that to happen, you have to fill this out now? What, you can't buy a firearm? Because you're the one with the mental problem? You literally are speaking out against people who have a clinically defined mental disorder. You were speaking out against them, yet you were the one expected to fill out a form saying you're the crazy one. It's going to start affecting people's rights at some point, if it's not already affecting them. For all I know, it is. Obviously, I'm not that plugged into California law, but this is definitely something that if I were a resident of the state of California, I'd be very concerned with right now. Well, I know there's a whole lot of other things to be concerned with if you're a resident of California, but you understand what and look, I don't want to make too many jokes about this because I have a lot of followers in California. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, look at the amount of gun owners in America. There's a lot of gun owners. I mean, a very high percentage per capita of gun owners in California. Let's remember, there are hot spots in California, the obvious ones, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. San Diego not as much as San Francisco and Los Angeles, but these hot spots in California that are just these hotbeds of crazy wacko liberals. Outside, especially the northern part of the state, very, very conservative. Super red part of the northern part of California. So again, a lot of people are behind enemy lines, but to me, geographically, they outnumber the people in these larger communities. It's just that the population overwhelms the rest of the state. Folks, I'm never going to be okay with it. I'm never going to get in line. I'm never going to toe the line in this case because I think this is wrong. I think this is way wrong by trying to label people as being the ones who have the screw loose whenever they simply oppose the wackos who truly have that screw loose. I think that's really wrong. I think all this does, it's a victim blaming type thing, but it's reversing that, right? The person who's uncomfortable with this, the poor little girl, poor little Susie, 10 years old, doesn't like a guy staring over the stall wall or underneath it watching her undress. She's not comfortable with that. Why? Because she was raised in a good home. She knows that's wrong. She feels that. She doesn't need a rule book to tell her that's wrong. It feels creepy. It feels icky. But now she's going to be labeled the one with the screw loose because Johnny over there wants to flop his dong around in front of her and act like, oh, well, I'm just like you. No, you're not. Let me explain something to you. And I think that, look, if we're going to play this game of allowing these gender pretenders to play their game out there in the open in front of everybody, and now we have to change rules as a result of them, I got a rule for you. Let me suggest this rule. You want to play the gender pretending game? You want to really commit to it? I mean, I want you to commit to it. If you really, really, really are committed to this game of pretending you are something you are not, if you are a guy who has franks and beans, but you want to act like you're a female, commit to it already. We should pass a law that you will be treated like the gender you are until you physically change that. What am I talking about? Get rid of the franks and the beans. Cut the figs off, cut it all off. Get rid of it. Commit to it already. Oh, you don't want to play that bad? This isn't the game you wanted to play after all? No, 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 no. You get rid of whatever that is that makes you obviously, biologically and physically the other sex. Yes, of course, you're never going to be a woman. You're just not going to be. Your DNA defines you. But you know what? If you want to commit. Make it happen. Get rid of them.
Take some beans.
Chop them off. At least I know at that point you're serious about it. Because I think you'll find out real fast how many people are like, this game is not worth it to me. Those are not the rules that I want to play by. You'll find that out real fast. Let's change the rules of the game to fit them. In fact, truthfully, it would do them a favor, wouldn't it? I mean, wouldn't it take that testosterone out of it? Now you don't have, look, all the little estrogen and all the little change in hormonal drugs that you have to give them, not anymore. Chop those figs off. No testosterone coming in now.
Take some beans.
That's how you commit to playing the game. Now let's see who wants to sign up for it. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking for a book to educate yourself and to educate the idiots out there who can't think for themselves regarding mass shootings, go to damnliars.net. Again, damnliars.net, and get my brand new book, Damn Liars.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
It's hanging around.